Yo, man, yo. Welcome to FKU Africa podcast. Yes, we're recording this live. This is your host, Maneza F8, coming to you. I'm still here in Worcester in the Western Cape, man. We're keeping it real, we're keeping it cool out here. So, yeah, man, if you haven't follow or subscribe to any of the platforms, because you might be viewing this from YouTube, so which means you should subscribe, or you might be viewing it from Spotify, listening from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or in the website where Maneza F8.so.za. If you are listening from there, so you can happily listen there and follow, subscribe wherever you are. This week has been a hectic week in terms of what have been happening, what everyone has been talking about. Though this podcast doesn't really stick to the current affairs or to what uh, is happening on a daily basis, or the gossip or the stories. I just needed to highlight what are some of the things that you may want to see or want to know regarding the trial of the former Bafana Bafana captain and former Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Senzo Robert Mayiwa. So the case was postponed for the 30th, which was on Monday. So it resumed on Monday, and it's been going on till today. Only the one witness has been on the stand since the trial has been started. So the trial so far is just no one can really say how is it going, or what will be the outcome as yet, because it's just the beginnings now. I've heard that there's more than 10 witnesses that still to come, so no one can really tell. But this one that is in now, this current witness that is in now, is the most important one in terms of guiding how the procedure, or how the proceedings are going to be. Because if this current witness now, Constable Musia, if he's still Constable Mr. Musia, if he's been disregarded as untrusted, or the witness, or whatever he's testifying on cannot be taken as an evidence, or he cannot be taken serious by the state, so the case will collapse, because the case is built based on an evidence that he was collecting, or he was supposed to be collecting and taken care of, and put it in a as a forensic person, and put it wherever it's supposed to go, ballistics to ballistics, DNA to DNA, everything. So if that process didn't go as how it's supposed to be going, so which means that the case will be in shambles, because without those kind of procedures being followed, if the defense proves that beyond a reasonable doubt that the evidence has been tampered with, the scene has been tampered with, that means that there is no case anymore. So I'm recording this now to just to illustrate, and just to, if you haven't been watching, you need to watch it. It is all over YouTube. There's hours and hours of it for SAPC, Newsroom Africa, ENCA. They have them in their YouTube platforms. You can go and search for those Senzo trial. You will see hours and hours of footages that you can watch and assess for yourself. But so far, so embarrassing for the police. I've been saying that the problem that we are having in South Africa is the incompetence of the governance. The incompetency of the governance, including all there is that has to do with the government, because police are under government. The incompetence of the police is illustrated, is, yeah, the word will uh now that I want it, it will disappear. Is ill, illustrated, yes, is illustrated fully in front of our eyes. So my English is now disappearing like Mr. Meiwa, Mr. Musia. Uh, Apparently today, on the 20 on the 2nd of June, he's been testifying in English throughout the times. I think it's day number 8 of him in the witness stand. So today, the English bundles have run out. He requested to have someone that will interpret for him in SSU to his language, which is good, because you don't want to be in the stand and not be understanding what is being said, and being saying things that you don't mean, or things that you don't want to say just because the English has been escaping you. So I should be now be asking for interpreter as well. But I think my English bundles are still okay. I can continue for now. So as now is being portrayed, let me leave the illustration, the illustrated word alone. I think it's going to cause me a lot of problem. So as the evidence is being portrayed up to so far by both Advocate Teffo and Advocate Mishololo, is that the incompetency of the police is beyond us, is beyond me, is beyond everyone. Because the simple thing is to secure the scene and make sure that everyone that enters the room that is supposedly the scene of a crime, everyone that enters there is supposed to be wearing a gear, a crime scene gear. You put those stuff that you put on the shoes to cover your shoes, for that, so that you cannot uh, put your DNA or something that is coming off outside. You put gloves on, you cover your head for the DNA hair and all that before you enter. Unless you're going in a room where you suspect that there might be someone that is in trouble, you you won't have time for that. The first thing you do is to enter the room and make sure that everyone is okay, and just stay far from, if you see a dead body, stay far from it until you get your gears and you call forensic to examine the scene and examine the body or whatever. In this case, there was no body at that time. Police came while the body was already in the hospital and the family was coming from the hospital. So at that time, the police should have put on the gear, crime scene gear, so that the evidence would not be tampered with. So if you read the procedures of a crime expert, or conducting a crime scene, they will tell you that before you enter into a crime scene, you should have a crime scene gear, up to goggles, everything, so that no DNA of yours or anyone that you are working with should be included on the DNA that is collected on the stuff that is in the scene. With that being said, none of that have been done at that time. In that case, none of that was done. Uh, First of all, when Mr. Musia, who was the forensic, was called at his home, at that time he was on standby for a forensic. He was called by Brigadier Love, as he was saying. And when he was being called, he was not given directions, first of all. And how do you call someone to attend the scene, but you don't even have the address of the scene? Because the first thing that you get is where is the scene. So if you're calling someone to go to attend the scene, first thing here, the scene is there and there and there. This is what has been. This is what happened. This is what you need to prepare going to the scene. Prepare for the gear that you need. If it's a scene that involve arson, fire, you know what you need. If a scene that involve gunshots, you know what you need. If it's a stepping, you know what you need. So those things needed to be explained, and first of all, the address. So the guy, he was not given an address. He have to go around until up from the police station to the hospital until he get to the scene. Afterwards, the drive from his house, if he was given a address at that time that he must go to the scene, he was supposed to take a drive from his house to the scene less than 10 minutes. He ended up taking like 35 minutes to an hour getting there, this up and down that he was doing. And when he gets there, police are all over the place. Some are outside, some are inside. You can listen to him. He doesn't know that even the police were inside or the police were outside or what was happening.
Or there were no people? Describe the crime scene when you arrived.
When I arrived, there was no one in the outside. I never went inside the house. I was still waiting for. There were police. There was the crime scene was full of people living on the outside.
I don't know what he's saying. It seems like he's saying that there was no one, and he's still saying that the people were all over the place. There were police inside and outside. So you can just listen again so that you can understand as well.
Were there any people? Or there were no people? Describe the crime scene when you arrived.
When I arrived, there was no one in the outside.
When I arrived, there was no one in the outside. This is what he's saying.
I never went inside the house. I was still waiting for. There were police. There was the crime scene was full of people living on the outside.
So this can be confusing for sure if you are not following the case. So uh, as I understand this, what he's talking about now is the second time that he comes back to the scene, because during the time that he was in the scene, he did collect some of the evidence, and then he decided that he must contact the task team of the evidence collectors to come and assist him. So, so at that time, he handed over the crime to Brigadier Love again and go and left the crime with him. So Brigadier Love, first of all, is not a crime expert. Is just a policeman. But I do think that he has a jurisdiction to take charge of the scene. And when he comes back, I think this is what he's explaining here now. When he comes back again, there were people all over outside, and first of all said there's no one inside, and then he's saying that. So this is just a messed up thing that has been happening throughout the trial. So at this point now, he's just he's just all over the place, and he's just saying this and then change saying another thing. This is where I think he ended up asking for an interpreter because he couldn't understand his own words at this point. So what ended up happened here, he ended up being questioned about the documents, because he was keep on saying that it was Brigadier Ndlovu who was pointing him into the points where he had taken images that were in Exhibit A of the of the case file. And the Exhibit A entails the photos, 8 photos that he took at that time before he he decided to go and come back with other people. So advocate Mushololo say, yes, of course, you didn't take those pictures. Those pictures were taken by the police, and all that was staged. This is what she's been saying. So with that being said, um, she ended up asking him about documentation on how he handled the evidence and how was the evidence processed and how were the documentations. So he couldn't provide all these documentations. He had some copies of the registers where he registered um, the evidence, and advocate needed to the originals. He explained that they cannot bring in the originals to court, which I understand, because those original um, they also entails other other information about other cases. So you can just take the whole register to court, where it can be exposed to anyone and can be exposed to her as well as the advocate. That will include the exhibit from other cases that he's not dealing with or she's not dealing with. So I understand that, but the guy could not explain that at that time. He just say, I can't come with the original. I came with the copy, and the copy was not even certified. So he couldn't explain why he didn't come with the original. And those are the things that make me think that this state witness is just going to mess up the whole case. He was not prepared. He doesn't know his story, his incompetence, or he doesn't understand English. And even while the English has been interpreted to him, he still messes up. Simple things that I can answer, even though I'm not a police. I used to work at correctional services. I used to work hand to hand with policies. We have a lot of cases that people die in prison, and police come inside and forensic come inside. I understand the whole situation, how they work around securing the crime scene, and make sure that people are outside and wear the gears and take everything that needed to be taken. I understand all these things, and even it's similar when it comes to registers. You can't take the original register from prison and take it to wherever you want to take it. You can't. So I understand that. So during the time that Advocate Teffo was testifying, he ended up mentioning that he's got a witness, an eyewitness that will come and testify that the person that killed Senzo Muyiwa is actual Kelly Kumalo. She killed Senzo Muyiwa by mistake. That's what she's saying. So you can listen to the video.
Mr. Musia, that witness, not just witness, eyewitness will testify that Senzo Robert Meiwa was allegedly shot by non-Tlantla Kelly Kumalo by mistake, as it is alleged. Do you have a response?
No respondent that, my lord.
Anginampendulo-ke kulokho kushoyo ukuthi-ke kunofakazi owabona ozosho ukuthi-ke uSenzo Meyiwa wadutshulwa uyena uNonhlanhla Kelly Khumalo ngephutha.
The same eyewitness will further testify that the firearm used to shoot Senzo Robert Meiwa by Kelly Khumalo came with Longethwala, and the firearm is a revolver. Any response?
No comment on that.
Akunalutho engakusho kuloko kushoyo ukuthi kwaloyo fakazi loyo uzoqhubeka athi
So this is what transpired during that time. So this is making headlines now all over the place that Kelly Kumal is the one that actually shot and killed Robert Senzo Meyiwa by mistake with the gun that came with um, Shongwe Twala, the son of Chico Twala, who's the well-known producer. So this thing, it's very much bizarre coming out of an advocate. So everyone now is hoping that he actually have this witness that will come and testify. So if this witness come and testify, that will be, the witness will be under oath, and that will be forcing the investigation of Kelly Kumal on the side. You see, so if that happens, which means that this case falls apart, obviously. If that witness can be reliable and come with the real events and come with convincing testimony, this case will be closed. Kemi Kumalo will be arrested and the rest of the people that were in the house. So, first of all, what is strange about this one is that this case have two dockets. The dockets that is naming these five suspects that are in court now in this trial, and the other seven suspects that were in the house during the time that Robert Senzomeyiwa was shot. So this is strange. At some point, Advocate Teffo asked Mr. Musia that have you ever seen that happen during the case that he worked on as a police for 16 years? And the answer from Mr. Musia said never in his life. This is very strange. So this case is so messed up that even the police differs when it comes to witnesses, and they're working for the same Department of Police. So the incompetence of police is not something new. It's something that can be traced way, way back from the beginning of this case, from the beginning of this democracy, from the beginning of our apartheid. Police can never be reliable. Police were never reliable during the apartheid time. They killed Steve Biko and say he fell from the building while they dragged him. It was the evidence. The evidence showed that he was dragged by the car until he died by the police. But the police said that he fall from the upper building. So the police will never be trusted until they can start working and doing what they should do and be professional in their work. So tell me what you think about this case, and then if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button. Leave a comment and just tell me what you think. What do you think what is the outcome you expecting in terms of what I've been saying about this, and what the proceedings are in court. If you are watching the proceeding, what do you think is going to be an outcome of this case? Fikiria kwa undani, ndugu Chamaku.